You got a handsome guy in your streaming video right now, and his name is William F. Stiles. This is a show about, it's more than about real estate. That's what we've come to learn. Mr. Stiles is also Mr. Ocala Real Estate. He is a real estate agent and a speaker, and a very, very good speaker, actually. I think you got a double career going for you. But good morning, William. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good to see you again.
Thank you very much for having me. So I have a very important message today. But before I get to that message, I want to just tell you about myself real quick. Yes, I am William Stiles. I am a real estate investor here in Ocala. I buy houses. I buy all kinds of houses, really. Ones that don't need repairs, ones that need lots of repairs, mobile homes and block homes. So if you have a house for sale, please reach out to me. You can reach me at my office at 352-282-3080 or my website, MrOcalaBuysHouses.com. What's unique about me is I'm also a real estate agent. So I'm an agent with Ocala Realty World, and they are the #1 real estate company here in Ocala. Alicia Lopez has got the most heart and soul of any broker in town. That's why I love her. If you'll remember, last week I talked about all of us not being perfect, but being pretty darn amazing. And you know what's interesting? It's really easy to believe that we're not perfect. Like, that comes natural for us, right? I'm not perfect. Yeah, William, I believe that. I am not perfect. That's right. But when we come down to, but I'm pretty darn amazing, that's a little bit harder to believe, isn't it?
Yeah. Not you. I mean, I believe you're amazing.
It's the truth.
Referring to myself.
It's the truth. Okay, here's the absolute truth. You're not perfect, but you're pretty darn amazing. And I want you, the listener, to actually say that, okay? Say, you know what? You're right, William. I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty darn amazing. Why is it so hard to believe that you're not perfect, but it's a lot harder to believe that you're pretty darn amazing? Here's why. There's a battle going on for your mind. There is a battle going on for your mind. So you can't think of everything at all times. You can't focus on everything all the time. I remember being 18 years old. I graduated from high school, and I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? Well, I don't know. I ended up selling vacuum cleaners door to door for about 3 weeks. Okay, and it really wasn't for me. But here's what I learned. When you're going to someone's house to sell them a vacuum cleaner that costs over $1,000, and you're selling it to them by just knocking on their door, you have to create a problem for them. Before they will ever buy your solution, you have to sell them that they have a problem. Okay? 5 minutes before you knock on their door, this person is just living their life. They're watching TV, reading a book, talking on the phone, everything's okay. The moment you knock on the door, you have to sell them that they have a huge problem. They have a massive problem that you have the solution for. So you go into their house and you use your vacuum cleaner and you pull up all this dirt and you just really are selling the fact that, hey, you've got this problem that needs your attention right now. You need to focus on this problem. Out of everything else going on in your life, you need to shut all that out and focus right here on this problem. And as you do that, I have the solution right here. What do you know? Well, in this world, I mean, it's in this world, it's a lot about business, sales, and marketing. So right now, in the world, there's like a huge sales pitch going on. There's a huge sales pitch going on why you're not good enough, why you're unworthy, what's wrong with you, how you're not good enough, how the world's not good enough, what's wrong with the world. It's just, you're bombarded right now on what's not good about you, what's not good about the world, and you're being sold on a problem. Why? Because there's a solution to buy. There's a product being sold, but you as a person will never buy the solution unless you see a problem. So I want you to understand that you're not perfect, but you're pretty darn amazing. And the reason why you tend to focus on what's wrong and what's not good and how you're unworthy is because you're being constantly sold on what's not right and what's not good. Maybe you're being sold on that you're ugly, that you don't have enough possessions, you don't have enough money, you don't have a big enough house, you don't have a nice enough house, you don't have a nice enough car, you don't have a big enough car, you're not loved enough. The world is evil. So you're being sold on all of these things that's not right. So how are you being sold? What are you being sold right now today? On what's not good about you?
Me? You want to know what it's being sold about? You looking at me?
I was not asking you. I was asking the listener. But since you
couldn't tell.
Okay, go ahead and answer that question.
Gosh, I'm being sold on everything. I get what you're saying. I really get what you're saying. But did you know what? But it's like every other ad. I don't believe any of it. I mean, if somebody says, "Is your house leaking?" and it is, okay, my house is leaking. But if they say, "Is your house leaking?" and it's not, I said, "No, my house is." It's like everybody else. We kind of tune out the commercials that don't apply to us, whether they're real commercials or, social commercials. I guess what you're describing.
I'm describing the images, like women, like in the magazines, and
yes.
From a very
right.
early age, there's an image that you have to live up to. Keep up with the Joneses, right? So whether it's your looks, your personality, your possessions, your mate, what they're supposed to be like, and stuff. So you're being sold an image of the way things are supposed to be. In the world right now, you're being sold a pitch that the world is evil and that there's these huge problems all over the place. And I think what that does is it paralyzes us. So we're so focused on the problems. It's like, geez, what do I do? I'm like paralyzed. I don't even know how to move forward on what I want to do and what I want to create. So this is a very important topic. So here's another main point. You can't focus on everything. Right now, there are infinite things that your mind can think about. Think about elephants. Pink elephants, right? Pink elephants. Well, while you're thinking about pink elephants, you can't be thinking about green alligators. Okay, so my point is that you cannot be focused on problem, where I fall short, and at the same time, see all the good that's going on in the world, see all the beauty that's going on in your life around you, being appreciative for the house that you do have, being appreciative for the car that you do have, being appreciative for the mate that you have right now, being appreciative for the job that you have right now. We all want better for ourselves. But there's a certain value in having gratitude for what's in our life right now, for the good that's in our life right now. And I think that as we can take some of our focus, I'm not saying stick your head in the sand and say there are no problems. What I'm saying is take some of our focus and see the good that's going on in your life. See the good about the house you're living in. See the good about the car you're with. See the good in the mate that you are with. You can't solve every problem. I remember making a to-do list. I don't know if anybody ever written a to-do list, right? I've got these 5, 6, 10 things. As you start completing things on your to-do list, it's like it grows, it multiplies. It's like, oh, there's more things to do. Here's the thing about a to-do list. It's a never-ending list. You'll never get it all done. You'll never get everything on your to-do list done. It's the same thing about problems. You cannot solve all the problems. You'll never be able to. So take some of your focus off of the problems and what's not good enough and how you're not worthy enough, and focus some of that attention on what's good in your world. What are you grateful for? See the good about yourself. See the good about your community. See the good about the people around you. Appreciate what you have. There's a lot of good right now.
Absolutely. and Willie, what I was thinking of as you were saying that was absolutely, you're right, that we do focus on the things that the media throws at us and maybe that our families or friends are throwing at us. If you walk into the mall, every one of these stores is throwing a message at you to come in and buy whatever it is. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. But when you look at the horrible news like out of France this morning or out of Orlando a few weeks ago, you have to know about it. But if you focus on it, you're not going to, you need to have something so you can live your life and live your own news. I think that's part of what we do as entertainers, is to try to distract you from, to give you just a break, to give you an oasis just for a half hour, to be distracted by something that's not so heavy.
Well, because we do have we have our individual lives, and then there's also the world at large also. Okay, so it's like we have our own bubble, right? So if we get so focused in on the world at large and all we're thinking about is the terrorist attacks and things like that, you really lose sight of your own life. Maybe you're 50 pounds overweight and you want to lose 20 pounds or something like that. Maybe you're in a job as a cashier and you want to upgrade and become a bookkeeper or something like that, or become a nurse. And so by focusing on the good and by not being so wrapped up in everything else, you can really start building your life. And we're talking about being the best that we can be, physically, mentally, financially. And for us to be the best that we can be, we have to focus on some of the good and not just be so wrapped up on what we perceive as being problems in the world, because we can't solve everything.
Absolutely, we certainly cannot.
But we can take care of our own problems.
Absolutely.
In our own relationships, and being positive, like you're so positive.
Yeah. No, well, that's right. I remember being, a problem that I've always had when I'm in relationships is I pick the women in my life, I pick them apart. I mean, it's like I have this perfectionist attitude. I don't know why. But that same woman that I'm picking apart, I'm like, well, she's too this and she's too that. She's not good enough here and not good enough there. That same woman, if she said, William, you're done, right? We break up. I'm like, oh, no. Come back to me, right?
Right.
So the thing that we are taking for granted of today is the same thing that we will beg and wish we had when we lose it.
That's right. And you have to ask yourself, who taught you what is perfection? Who taught you what qualities should be the ideal qualities in a mate? Who taught you that? Where did we learn that from?
I think we learned it from society and our experiences. Absolutely. And I've had to really work on focusing on the good of who I'm with. Okay. And the same thing, like when I'm with somebody, no, they're not perfect, but they're pretty darn amazing. Right. So just focusing on the good, because I could never really be happy for an extended amount of time with who I was with, because I would always pick them apart. I would always just focus on the aspect of them that I didn't like, versus focusing on the aspect that I did like. And I want to hit this point again because this is interesting, because that thing I take for granted, when that thing leaves my life, okay, whether it's my health, my job, my woman, when that thing leaves my life, I'm begging and wishing I had it back.
Yeah.
Okay. So we take our health for granted so much, right? And then all of a sudden our health's not there, and we're like, whoa, I want that back. Okay. Have you ever heard the expression, the thing that you are taking for granted, there are so many other people dreaming for?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Car that you are damning, that car that you were saying is not good enough, it's too ugly, it doesn't get good enough gas mileage, it runs rough. There are millions of people just dreaming like, man, I wish I had that car.
Had any car, yeah.
Any car, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's also, and a lot of times we focus on that, hey, there's so many other people that wish they had what I have. But I like to also point on the fact that when you lose the thing that you have, the car, the mate, the job, you are going to be the one wishing that you had it back.
Right.
So instead of appreciating it after the fact, instead of regretting it after the fact, try to bring some of that gratitude in the moment today and appreciating what you have today.
The idea of a mate is really different than the idea of a car. And when it comes to other people in your life, I mean, the physical attributes are a part of it. Then obviously that's going to go away because we all get old. But when your joy comes from receiving, you can often be disappointed. But when your joy comes from giving, you can never be disappointed. If instead of waiting for your wife or your girlfriend to give you everything you've wanted to give, or you expect her to give you, if you say, you know what, I don't want you to give me anything, I just want to give you everything, then you'll be the happiest man ever.
You'll be very happy.
Yeah.
You'll be very happy. Now, I'm not going to deny the fact that there are natural things that we all seek in other people. There are deal breakers for me, absolutely. But generally, if a girl doesn't have the deal breakers, I just wanted to get away from picking them apart. We pick everything apart. We pick our jobs apart. We hate where we work, like, we pick it apart. That same job that we were begging for, that same job that we were like, oh God, please, if I could just get hired here, if they would just say yes. We went to that interview, we wanted it so bad. And then now here it is 6 months later, we're like, oh man, I hate this place, right? We pick it apart. So I want you, who's listening right now, to see the good at what's going on in your life. See the good. To remember why you were dreaming for what you have. Why? Remember, okay? And be appreciative. Another important point here is I'm not talking about settling, because that's another problem that we do is we settle. We settle in a relationship that's no longer good for us. We settle in a career that's no longer good for us. When we're asked to take the next step, when we're asked to grow in our lives, I'm never a proponent of settling when it's time to grow. But I am a proponent of being appreciative and being grateful for what we have right now as we're growing to the next level. Loving that job that you're in right now, seeing the good that it's providing for your life right now as you are either going to school or you're building the skills on the side to take your life to the next level and the next career or the next move.
But there's also that equation of fear in there for people wanting to go to the next level. How do they overcome that fear and move forward?
You know what? That's I was going to say the $1 million question, but it really is, because we're creatures of habit. Okay, we get in, the word rut is coming to mind. We get into a rut, a routine. We get into these patterns, and anytime we start trying to do something different, fear is going to come up. And nothing will change unless you're willing to act in the face of fear. So when you're in that moment and you start doing something that's a little bit different outside of your routine, okay, and you start feeling that uneasiness in your body. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, that queasiness, like what's going on, like, oh. When you, in that moment, can focus on where you're going versus how you're feeling. So you're feeling the fear, but you're focused on where you're going instead of how you're feeling. You got that? You're focused on where you're going. You have a vision. You know where you have to see it. You have to be able to picture it in your mind of where you're headed. In that moment of fear, in that moment of feeling the uneasiness in your body, as long as you see where you're headed, that's going to give you enough strength to take a step. And I will tell you about that fear. That fear is not constant. That fear is not 24/7. So in that moment, and you have that fear, and you are focused on where you're headed, and you take that next step, that fear will subside. And what will replace that fear is a sense of power. Mm-hmm. Only for that fear to return later on. So I don't know that you'll ever conquer the fear. I think it's always going to be there, because as human beings, we're always here to stretch and to grow and take ourselves to the next level. Okay? So we're always having to face the fear, have an idea of where we're headed, and taking the next step.
Nice.
Do you want to take phone calls?
Absolutely.
If you would like to call in, the number is 622-9622, and you're listening to William F. Stiles. His program is called Mr. Ocala Real Estate Today, but obviously you are a talented speaker, a motivational speaker, it sounds like. Perhaps another career for you. Have you done this? I mean, have you done motivational speaking? I know you were in here once a long time ago promoting a speaking engagement.
Yep, I've done a few speaking engagements. I've spoken out at CFCC about the power of feeling good. I've spoken at a few churches about overcoming the challenges of our dream. I've spoken, I actually had my own event with TJ Moon about loving your life and loving your work, and that's what we did last year. And so, okay, for a long time, I always felt like I had a gift or a talent or a dream. Let's just call it the way it is, right? A dream to be a speaker, a dream to help people, to really touch their hearts. But I was not good enough, you see. I'm just telling you what's in my mind. I'm like, William, you're fat, you're broke, you're nothing, you're nobody. Like, how can you do that? There is no way that that's possible. I'm 39 years old. I'm telling you, this dream has been in my heart for forever, but I was never good enough. So I never took the action, took the steps to achieve my dream, because I was always picking myself apart on all the things that was not good enough and how I could not achieve it. So when it comes to work, I chose real estate because it gives me the flexibility. Okay, I am not the guy that can punch a clock 9 to 5. It's just not there. So I love freedom. So I like the real estate because it provides a good income and it does the flexibility. And I've worked on myself enough, seen the good in myself enough that I'm starting to take the steps as a public speaker. And absolutely, within the next 10 years, my goal is to transition from being a full-time real estate investor and realtor and being a full-time inspirational speaker. That absolutely is where my life is headed. I'm still going to have my real estate business, but I'm going to have a team in place that's going to be working it for me because I want my real estate business to be the financial support, the foundation for my speaking career, so that even if I'm going to a church or a school, I don't have to charge, huge fees. To me, it's like my service, to the world, so to speak, is giving my talent to the world. So absolutely, my goal is to be a public speaker, although I'm doing real estate right now.
I would suggest that since you have an audience right now, let them put out the invitation if they would like you to come speak at their civic group or their church or their school. Or their, who knows what kind of gathering they might have. There are some nursing homes here that would love to have a speaker come in to talk about whatever subject you want to present. How do they get a hold of you to make that request of you?
Okay, you can call my office. Now, this is a real estate office, and so they're not going to expect to get a call for me to be a speaker, but that's okay. Just let them know you heard me on the radio and you'd like to invite me to come out and speak to your group. My phone number is 352-282-3080. 352-282-3080.
And what type of topics do you think you would bring to a venue? What kind of things do you think? I mean, would you have a menu of things they could choose from, or would you bring a specific topic that you tell them?
Both. I speak on soft topics. I'm never the guy that says, I'm going to teach you how to go from broke to make $1 million. That's not me. I'm more on personal, how to see the world, things like hope. Okay, seeing the good. I'm more about developing the person and about building the person up. So if you have individuals that need to maybe see the world in a better way, that to be lifted up, to be inspired, I definitely speak on those types of topics. But if you have your own topic, you can give that to me, and I can definitely speak on that too. But I just follow my heart. I allow things to flow. So I definitely am not going to go into an organization and tell them how to make $1 million. But what I am going to go in there is tell them how
Nobody wants that, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to tell them how to see themselves. I'm going to tell them how to see the world so that if that's their goal, they can go out and make $1 million if that's what they want to do. But they're going to have to be the ones to figure out the path. But I'm going to teach them how to see themselves and how to see the world, so that they can take the action to make that happen.
And you have to instill trust in people, that they have to trust others if they're going to go off on their own.
They have to trust themselves, first of all.
So how do you snap out of something that you don't, how do you snap out of a place you don't like being in? For example, how do you snap out of being angry? How do you snap out of being lonely? What do you do to speed up the process? Because you're not going to be angry forever. How do you snap,
Yeah,
but how do you how do you speed it up?
Okay, first of all, it's a very complicated answer to that, but because there's a lot of variables that go into someone being angry or depressed. Number one, the food that you're eating. If you're consuming a lot of sugar and sweets and things like that, that's going to suppress your mood and you're not going to feel like moving. Number two is your physical activity. If you're just laying around, you're going to naturally be more depressed than you would be if you're going for a walk. So my suggestion would be, go for a walk. Number one, go for a walk, because as you exercise, even light exercise is going to generate certain endorphins in your body and certain chemicals that are going to flow through that are going to naturally put you in a better mood. And then once you're there, just try to focus on eating healthier foods. And from there, that's going to put you in a better mental state to be able to make new decisions.
Excellent.
Mr. Ocala, Real Estate Today. Maybe you should change your name to Mr. Ocala Makes Sense Today or something like that. William Stiles, you are an amazing guy, and I believe you are an amazing guy. I know you are an amazing guy. So for the listeners, I think what you're hearing here is an opportunity for you to have a very talented speaker come to your organization and give a speech, make a presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I think I just want to tell people that you are amazing, like right now, and just because you've been programmed to focus on the negative, it's not the truth. There's so much good going on. So definitely contact me, 352-282-3080. Thank you so much.
Thank you, William. We'll be right back.